Streaming. It's pretty huge, yeah? Also not really for me, but streaming. It's basically a way for content creators to interact with their fans in a non-physical way and while being live, as the name implies. It's been big for a long time now, but the most typical streamer setup is like a person just having their webcam on while they do something. Usually video games because, of course. In any case, you could also just stream without a webcam like I do, or just a no commentary stream. What's stopping you? Anywho, in the past few years or so, there's been a new type of streamer popping up, or streamers, VTubers. Basically, imagine streamers who use a camera, but the camera is replaced with a 3D model of a character that emotes with the streamer's face. Not only is it stupidly expensive, okay, well not stupidly, but you get the point, but it also looks uncanny as hell. Well, to be fair, I can see the vision, but it ends up being there not for me kind of thing, you know? Because they just tend to be cutesy anime girls, and it's just like, not really my I said it. But that's fine. There's a lot of things like that out there. Besides, none of these VTubers are really doing anything bad. Aside from making music, dear God. But regardless, these VTubers also have like a heavy amount of lore for some reason. And of course, it leads to a shit ton of things. And not just music though, video games. Because, of course. Now, after the last video was basically me reviewing a game tied to a franchise I did not care for, and it was also bad, how would this video fare any different? Well, for one, the game I'm covering is made by a developer I actually like, Galaxy Trail. Now, these developers aren't exactly a big name, nor do they really have a lengthy catalog, but they made Freedom Planet, so they rock in my heart. For those unaware, Freedom Planet was basically a Sonic fan game that eventually became its own thing and released in 2014. And then 8 years later, they released its sequel, which is literally one of the best games I've ever played. Shocker. I could spend a good amount of time gushing about this game alone, but we have to get a move on. So, after Freedom Planet 2, which released in 2022 I think, Galaxy Trail would release another game, Chrono Warden of Time, in 2025. Now, as I said earlier, I don't really care about VTubers or their lore, but Galaxy Trail did develop this game, so I figured why not? After all, it's not like this thought process backfired multiple times, right? So the story in this game is actually quite deeper than you'd think. I'm not really gonna go over it because it does get a little wild and I'm burnt out. But the very short version is that you are Chrono, the Warden of Time. Time breaks, go collect these Chrono Gears to fix it. And believe me, that's the very short version. Anyways, the story here is actually pretty decent, surprisingly. For not knowing anything about VTuber lore, there wasn't really a point in the story where I felt lost. Maybe during a few jokes, which I didn't get, but other than that, I don't really have anything to say about the story. It does its job, the characters, while not much to me, are at least characters, and the hells of the writing is very solid, and you won't find any drastic tonal shifts here. Also, the story is pretty fucking gay. Do you think that'll make a good selling point on the Steam page? So, as you could tell by the gameplay, Chrono Gear is basically a platformer with combat. If anything, it's kinda similar to Freedom Planet, though there's a lot less speed involved. It's not a bad thing at all, actually. If anything, I actually like that it's a slower game because it means I can break free from the Sonic bubble, which, might be hard to believe with a person like me. It does help that the combat also never feels like it's outright stopping you from just having fun or progressing, which, a lot of 3D games like to do. Alongside the platforming and combat, you also have the ability to slow down and speed up time. Because you're the Warden of Time, it's in the title. You obviously have a cooldown for them, but they both have their unique uses. You could speed up time to make your attacks faster and mow down bosses, or you could also slow down time to make certain platforming sections easier or avoid boss attacks easier. You could also activate ear to unlock these music notes, which you can use in the shop for extra stuff, but it also contributes to your rank, I think. I don't know, the ranking system in this game is really confusing. It gives you like a number or something instead of the standard letter grades, and even then I have no idea what a number like 297 or whatever means. Just stick with the goddamn letters. You did this in Freedom Planet too. Moving on, the way you'll progress in this game is pretty linear. If anything, it kind of reminds me of how most 3D Mario games are structured. You have a bunch of worlds to choose from, each with their own set of unique levels, and after you beat the level, you get a power star, a Chrono Gear. Man, I really am making plenty of Mario comparisons, huh? That aside, each world has like a hub to explore, and they're generally just neat to explore, but you also get additional story bits or just flavor text from the people around there, which is always nice. But additionally, each hub also has their own Chrono Gear. They're not very hard to obtain because they usually amount to just side quests and some backtracking, but I really wish I knew that you need pretty much all the Chrono Gears to beat the game, because the final stretch of this game gets nuts. I also didn't really like it. Okay. So once you beat all the main levels of each world, you and all the guardians of the other world launch the attack on the big bad's fortress. After a tough and long level, you think it's just a matter of defeating the big bad, but no. Instead, she sends you to a timeline where everything is fucked and you have to play through a few levels collecting these fucked up Chrono gears. The levels are great as usual, but at this point I felt like the game was dragging a bit too long, but that's fine. The only thing left is this final boss, and after a cool FMV and a cool ass boss fight, it's finally time to end the game and oh, there's another segment left. Okay, well it can't be super long, so let's just get it over with. Of course. Yeah, I'm just gonna be straight up with you. This last section kinda sucks. Again, a very cool set piece. Galaxy Trail's art team is amazing, as usual. Especially these Mode 7 ass flying segments. But like, why is the entire level just a giant maze or labyrinth? Like, sure, the game just lets you save and quit so you don't have to do this in one sitting, but like, why make a level this fucking long? I guess old habits die hard. Whatever, at least the only thing now left is the actual final boss because no regular boss can have this many phases. And finally, after being the boss, you... So remember when I mentioned getting all the Chrono gears earlier, including the ones in the hubs? Turns out I missed a very easy one at the first hub of the damn game. Boy, do I feel like a big idiot for having to look that up. Honestly, I was really worried to have to do all that hour-long gauntlet of a level all over again, but no, I only had to redo the final boss, so it's all good. Mostly. Anyways, after that, the game finally ends, and yeah, I think you can see what I mean by this game getting tiring by the end. It's weird I'm complaining about this considering the game isn't really that long, but I just couldn't take the feeling that like the entire hour-long level or whatever, I forgot the name, could have just been shortened or even cut out, because, you know, it just felt like I was wasting my time at that point. But it could also just be a problem only I have, so whatever. It's not like it really drags down the game for me, but it is a sore point. Either way, enough negativity, because if you've been looking at the footage I've been putting here... So, this game looks really good, which isn't really a shocker considering Galaxy Trail's previous output, but, you know, still, I gotta mention it. I live for games that still use sprites in this day and age, and it's a feeling I've needed ever since I got like a 3DS in 2012. Yes, that was very specific. Either way, this game is just a real beauty to look at. I like how it even enhances the story sometimes. In one of the worlds, the guardian for it, like every world has like a guardian, is basically stuck as a giant. So as a result, you get to see her in the background during the hub and a couple of levels. And it's such a neat detail that really surprised me. And the game keeps up this level of detail all the way through. There's a lot of segments like this, but I'd be here all day if I mentioned them. So just trust me, or look at the footage I'm putting up, I hope. And also, on top of the sprite art, there's also a couple of these anime style cutscenes, which includes a whole magical girl transformation sequence. Someone ought to be really happy about that. You know, during my first couple of sessions with this game, I didn't really vibe with this soundtrack because I was expecting something on the scale the Freedom Planet games had, which have some of the best soundtracks ever to me. So during my like second or so session, I just like went in with a blank mindset and yeah, it's good. Not so much the couple of vocal tracks in this game though. Who lets these people sing? In the end, Chrono Gear Warden of Time is a game I can recommend if you're interested in what you see. It helps that it's accessible to basically anyone regardless of how much VTuber lore you really know, and it helps that it's just a generally good game. Sure, I do have a couple issues with it here and there, but not enough to really make me not recommend it. Again, it's a Galaxy Trail game. They can make a VTuber RPG and I'd be ready for it. Okay, maybe not that.